Here we go, this is where the real dispute begins. The mother isn't simply asking for a different schedule, she's asking the court to reconsider unsupervised parenting time because she believes the children may be exposed to unsafe situations. But there's an important distinction here: an allegation is not automatically proof. The judge has to weigh what is being claimed, what evidence actually supports those claims, and whether there has been a meaningful change in circumstances since the existing parenting order was entered. And with both parents telling very different versions of events, credibility is about to become a huge part of this hearing. What do you think matters more here, the children's statements, the parents' testimony, or independent evidence?
Everybody to connect here. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I am referee Brian Nicholas with the Macomb County Family Court. We're here this afternoon in the case of Toko versus Toko, case number 2018-1629 DM. In counsel, could you please state your appearance for the record?
For the record, Your Honor, Paul Stackey, P43108, appearing on behalf of the defendant, Robert Toko, who's also present via Zoom and waives formal presence in court.
All right, Mr. Toko, your name for the record?
Robert Toko.
Okay, and ma'am, your name for the record?
Catherine Toko.
All right, and I want to thank everybody for appearing via Zoom today. Please realize this is a legal proceeding, just as if you guys were all here and formally present in the courtroom. Mr. Toko, Ms. Toko, any questions for myself or counsel regarding that this in fact is a legal proceeding today?
No.
All right, and ma'am, we're here today on your motion regarding parenting time. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and before we begin, just as a case history, you guys had an order entered on March 18th, 2022. And as of that date, Mr. Toko has had the 16th Circuit parenting time schedule, which is every other weekend, one night a week for dinner, and the holidays is set forth in the schedule in summers.
Yes.
Okay. So, ma'am, this is your opportunity to tell the court what you're requesting and why, and then Mr. Toko will respond through his counsel. Okay. So if you want to tell me why you're requesting and why.
So I have submitted many examples of why I don't feel my children are safe in unsupervised parenting time with him. Just certain examples I've sent in have left me very unsure about their mental safety, their emotional safety, and just given Robert's history, I can pull up multiple examples and submit it to the court of how his behavior does escalate, and I'm very nervous about it. I feel he and I do not have clear enough communication or trusting enough communication where I would feel continuing unsupervised visitation would be in the best interest of the children. There was an incident on the 22nd of August, and I very, very much appreciate his judgment call to let me know that I need to pick the kids up because him and his partner went in a very heated argument. And when I did go to pick the children up, they were upset. They were very sad, and they told me some things that were extremely unsettling for myself. And I've worked extremely hard to facilitate a childhood for them that they don't need to recover from. And if you need me to elaborate on anything further, I'd be happy to.
So what is the troubling things that they told you?
So my son, he is 4, however, he is extremely verbal. He has told me that his father, in anger, grabbed him by the shoulders and shook him until he couldn't breathe. He has told me this multiple times without prompting.
This is a critical legal distinction. The judge isn't necessarily saying the mother's history is irrelevant. He's saying the court needs to understand why that history matters now. The existing parenting order was already entered with knowledge of the past circumstances, so the court is looking for something that demonstrates a genuine change since that order. That's why the alleged recent incidents are so important. If they're supported by reliable evidence, they could potentially change the court's assessment. But if they're only allegations without corroboration, the judge has a much harder decision to make. And now we're heading directly into the evidence problem. What can this court actually rely on?
And it scares me. My daughter, they also told me that on the event that prompted this entire motion to be set in place, that Robert, was following his fiance around with her engagement ring saying, "Do you want this?" Getting in her face, making her feel very unsafe to the point where she had packed bags for their daughter and herself to leave, which is a very familiar thing that I went through multiple times during our marriage just to get away from him. We have multiple police reports because I was very unsafe with him. Um,
I'm going to
and
object at this point because it's something dealing with the past and it doesn't have anything to do with the present situation.
it very much does. The fact that
I'll
he's
allow
following
it
her
within
around.
limit. Just one second, Ms. Toko. So I'll allow it within limit. So the point that counsel's making, he's going to correct me if I'm wrong, is some other than the new allegations. Counsel's point is all of these other allegations of your relationship were all the allegations that existed when you entered into the order in 2022. So counsel's point is you entered into that order, stepping him up to the 16th Circuit with all this happening. Now, this is now based on a change of circumstances, but I do appreciate within limits, you're alleging that this conduct is the same as the conduct that you experienced. You had hoped that it's changed, and you're alleging that it's now happening with his current significant other in the presence of the children. That's not good for them. Is that as I understand it?
Yes.
Okay.
He also, my children told me that they both witnessed him pushing his current partner, I'm going to assume it's still a partner, to the ground. And that is, again, something I don't want them to witness. That is not a normal, happy, safe home for them to be in. They have also told me many, many times that they do not like going over there for more than the dinner. And every time that I've tried to bring it up to him, he gets extremely agitated, and then he will bring it up to the children. Now, my daughter told me that she doesn't really particularly like how his partner treats them. And I said, you know what? It's just a little bit different. Like, it's fine. I'm sure she cares about you. You're safe. And I try to really facilitate a feeling of excitement when they go over there. And every time they come back, they say, I don't think she likes us. And when I told Robert about that, he got really agitated. And then from what she told me, he was kind of angry with her and she got in trouble for speaking freely with me. So these are
So
things
tell me
that,
when you say he gets agitated, tell me what that means.
so from
What's
her
agitated?
recounting
Your Honor,
with
I'm going to
me,
object again because she wasn't present at any of these things and it's all hearsay.
I got, well, it's hearsay, but that tends to be the nature a lot of times in family court. But so, ma'am, I'm going to ask her now about her personal experience of defining what agitated means when they're dialoguing. So, ma'am, when you say he's agitated, what does that mean? Describe how he behaves when you allege he's agitated.
when he speaks with me about it, he got extremely, for lack of a better word, he squirmed away, said, if you have any issues with anything, go to court. It's almost as if he was shaking a little bit. But
I mean,
I
is
think
he
that would
yelling
be
at you? Is he yelling or using profanity or no? He's like, I'm not talking about it. Go to court. You perceived him to be like shaking it. So he wasn't yelling, screaming or anything like that.
No,
He just was,
no.
he was just unwilling to have a dialogue about it.
Yes, and then he proceeded to have the dialogue with my child that I feel is inappropriate. He doesn't need to chastise her.
How do you know that he's talking to a 7 and a 4-year-old?
Yes, because my children are not the kind of kids. They're not like that. They're not liars. They don't make stuff up. And I never
So they're coming home and telling you that, or you're.
And this may be one of the biggest moments of the hearing so far. The father's attorney is attacking the foundation of the allegations. No police reports, no CPS investigation, no school records, and the people allegedly making these statements, the children, aren't personally testifying here. That's where hearsay becomes a major issue. Family courts can sometimes consider information differently from a traditional criminal trial, but the judge still has to determine what evidence is reliable and what weight it deserves. Right now, the attorney is essentially arguing, don't change an existing parenting order based only on second-hand allegations. But the judge isn't finished because there's still one major question. What actually happened on that August date?
Inquiring of them.
No, I do not ask them anything. No, I do not ask them ever. I make
Okay.
sure of it because I don't ever want to coach my children.
So what do you think his parenting time should be right now?
I really, so this summer was the most unsettling time that he's had with them, where he was unsupervised after his mother and father stopped supervising. I would hope the kids keep asking me to go back to the greenhouse, which is the Phoenix house. They said that's where they felt the safest with him and had the most time with him. I would be willing to pay for that as well, just to ensure their safety. I would be willing to have him see them multiple times a week, even.
What was the issue?
Or,
What was the issue with his parents?
oh, there wasn't. There wasn't. It just came a time where he had been supervised by them at his girlfriend's home long enough where the courts decided, I think it was 6 months, that he didn't need to be supervised by them in her
Okay,
home
so
anymore.
Phoenix House is before he transitioned to his mom and dad.
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Stocky, your response to everything?
Yes. So Phoenix House was over 2 years ago, and Mr. Toko filed motions to have that stop. He was paying a significant amount of money. He was going to the Phoenix House. He went through all the stuff with the supervised parenting time with his parents. And then he got 16th Circuit Court default parenting time, and he's been utilizing that religiously. He has the kids over all the time. Occasionally, there has to be a change. This one incident on August 22nd, there needed to be a change. So he did call her, and they agreed, and she came and picked the children up. Now, as far as these allegations, they are hearsay. And the worst thing about it is they're hearsay from people we don't even know if they're like competent to testify. It's a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. And the thing that I find kind of ironic is that Ms. Toko saying that she doesn't ask her kids, but her whole statement's based on what her kids told her. Okay, so she is asking her kids. So the thing is at this point in time, I don't believe that there are any police reports. There aren't any CPS investigations. There aren't any school records. There's nothing to indicate that this is occurring other than Ms. Toko telling us this hearsay that she hears from other people. Okay, those people are not before the court to testify. There's no basis for those statements being introduced into evidence at today's hearing. So based on all of that, I would say that there is no change in circumstances, there is no proper purpose, and that her motion should be denied.
Well, what is Mr. Toko's response to allegations that there's domestic violence going on in his house between him and his girlfriend?
The reason why is they're actually getting married. So he is getting married to Samantha. They've been together for quite some time. They have a child in common. It's a very stable household now. And that's one of the reasons he ended up getting the 16th Circuit Court parenting time with his 2 kids. So he's there.
How did it become stable after August 23rd when he called and said, come pick up the children because me and my fiance are having an issue?
I don't think he ever said that me and my fiance are having an issue. He asked her to come pick the kids up. And then it snowballed to this point, and she's been denying him parenting time ever since. So basically, he would ask that he gets makeup parenting time for these denial that she created on her own. He's not going to cause an issue with her. He does not want to argue with her. Sometimes there's like nothing they can do. It's like if she presses the issue, he's got to say stuff to her, but he tries to be respectful to her. And based on her comments, he hasn't been violent or anything towards her or to the kids.
So, Mr. Toko, why did you call Ms. Toko on August 23rd? She said you called and because there's a problem with you and your girlfriend, and it sounds like there was.
So Samantha is scheduled for 2 in-office days through the company she works for. So the bigger, higher up people in the company were coming in on Wednesday instead of Thursday, and we could not find a babysitter in that short of time. So I called her to pick up the children. There was never a fight. There was never no pushing, me taking a ring off a finger or any of that. We still plan on getting married. And if what she says is what she says, we even went and took our engagement pictures that weekend. The kids.
Okay, so have you had police at your home at all in the last 6 months?
No, there has not been any police contact at my house ever.
So no contact on or around August 23rd at all?
No, none.
and realize we have access to lien. I can check and see if there's any police calls or police reports. If I were to do that, I'm not going to see anything
You will see
for the
nothing.
last 6 months.
No, you will not.
Okay. So Ms. Toko, when he called, did he said it was because of a fight with his fiance, or did he say I had to work and I don't have a date childcare?
He did text, and he is being truthful about the fact that he did tell me that him and his fiance both had to work that day or the next day. That is true. Absolutely true.
Okay,
I
so
will
he
not
never
deny
called.
that.
He never called and said we're fighting. It's bad over here. Come pick them up. That's what
No,
you allege your
it's
children told you and what you perceived when you saw them.
Oh, when they got in the car, they both thanked me for picking them up, and they were crying. And they said that he was following her around the house, saying, "Do you even want this?
Okay,
Do you even want this?"
I've
And
heard,
doing her right now.
I've heard that. So,
Mhm.
Mr. Toka, you want to respond? So let me, and let me make a point. So, guys, I don't expect anyone to come in here and be, as they say, white as the driven snow. I don't, things happen, arguments happen. Whether defined as abusive is a issue for the court as a trier of fact to determine. But let me just say this: if something did happen and you're saying your children are lying when they're telling the truth, you are going to start a very bad dynamic with your children if telling them something true is a lie, or calling them liars if they're telling the truth. I'm just putting that out there because, guys, that will establish a very bad precedent and is not good for anybody, including their, emotional well-being or upbringing, because it's going to say people lie. If mom and dad lie.
Now listen carefully, because the judge is doing something very important here. Instead of immediately declaring one parent truthful and the other dishonest, the judge is warning both sides about the consequences of what they're telling the children. If the children witness something serious, dismissing them as liars could damage their trust. But at the same time, young children can misunderstand, exaggerate, or describe events based on how they perceive them. That's exactly why the court needs to separate emotion from evidence. The goal isn't to pick mom or dad, it's to determine what arrangement actually protects the children while preserving their relationship with both parents. And that puts an enormous responsibility on everyone involved.
Then we lie. So I'm just going to say, you're in court, and you may or may not want to admit to something, but guys, if something's true and you're not telling the court and you're saying your kids are lying or that they didn't say it and they are, then you put yourself in a real bad dynamic. Also, you guys have to realize, if you can't talk, you have a 4 and 7-year-old. They may or may not be accurate purveyors of information, which is why they may say something that may be exaggerated or maybe, not accurate of what happened. And if you guys can't talk and you jump out of your skins, then you put yourself at a disadvantage, because you can't say, well, this is what happened. And guys, sometimes kids will say things, and if they're not true, it's your job as parents of saying, why are they saying it? Why are they perceiving it that way? Because they might be perceiving something as worse than it is. It could be accurate. I don't know. But if you guys can't have a conversation, you can't vet through these things and say, okay, what happened? So, Mr. Toka, what's your thoughts about that, or response, or what did you want to tell me?
So on August 22nd, before Catherine came and picked the children up, Ruby asked me, and she went through a list of the people that are involved on my side of the family in her life. If Sam's sister could watch her, if my mom could come watch her, she did not want to go home. Toby, when walking out of the door, gave me a hug, said, "I love you, Dad, and I will see you later," and ran out to the car. They showed no signs of crying when leaving. The incident of her saying I was agitated was because no matter what I said to try to comfort her that Sam is not mistreating our children, it was pushed to, let's jump to the next thing I can complain about. So I did walk away. I instantly get a text of, why is Ruby not answering your tablet? Which I replied, a video of them playing with our dog. So it's instantly, just because the conversation went nowhere and I walked away, I'm going to be assumed as a very violent person and that my kids are in danger. When in fact, when they come in this house, and even when I come home from work and they've been with Sam all day, it's smiles and laughter as soon as I walk in the door. The time they are sad is when they have to go to sleep early. I try to keep them on a sleep schedule so it does not mess with their mother's sleep schedule. And during the summer, they go to sleep at 9. During the school year, they go to sleep at 8:30. It's not a house full of yelling. This is not a house full of abuse and screaming. I've worked very, very hard to prove it to the kids. I have had a conversation with Ruby in private, so she did not feel pressured by anybody else sitting around, asking, does Sam make you feel like you don't like, she does not like you? Does she scare you? Does she ever put her hands on you? All the time it was no. Ruby was told, I cannot help you if someone's being mean to you unless you don't tell me. And she understood that. She does not feel like Sam is mean or doesn't like her. I don't know where all this is coming from. I simply called so that I did not have to find a spur of the moment babysitter because I don't have that.
So let me ask this. So why do you think Ms. Toko is here saying these things? You've been doing every other weekend parenting time for several months now, correct?
Yes.
And why do you think she's back now? Why do you think she's saying all these things?
It just happens in the recent month. I have no idea. And everything keeps being brought up as history. I'm not the person I was 2 years ago. I'm not the person I was 5 years ago. I'm not the person I was.
So let me ask this. So your fiance hasn't moved out in the last 6 months? You haven't broke up, got back together, had any kind of issues where she left and moved out for weeks or days and then came back?
No bags have ever been packed. No one has left the house. I have not moved out. She has not moved out. We have not stayed with our parents, our siblings, none of that stuff. There's no fighting over here.
So do you think when Ms. Toko says the kids are telling her these things, you don't think they're telling her these things, or you think they're highly exaggerated? What do you think?
Ruby has stated to me and Samantha, as soon as they get in the van, it's a drill of questions of what goes on at our house.
Oh my God. No.
All right. So Ms. Toko, this is just.
If we're going based
Go
off
ahead, Mr. Toko.
Ruby says that her sister opened a drawer on her before and her mom slapped her sister in the face. Ruby also says that Charles Archambault, the father of her other two siblings, drinks a lot of beer when he's around.
Oh my God.
So guys, I'm going to make a point. By the way, guys, you guys are depending on a 7-year-old to be the messenger and the private investigator for both of you.
And that's why I have not brought any.
And guys, I'm going to tell you, so you guys are now using 4 and 7-year-olds as a purveyor of investigation and the truth in each of your households. Has either one of you called protective have either one of you called protective services at a protective service investigation?
I feel the need to because I thought maybe a 7-year-old might exaggerate certain situations.
Yes. So
what happens? Go ahead, Ms. Toko. Go ahead. What's the point you want to make?
I was going to say I have been very close, but before I do take that measure, I have been looking for counselors because, again, I feel like my voice may be perceived as someone who's trying to put words in their mouth or trying to coach them. So I'm trying to find an IT network counselor for my kids so it can be taken from their own mouth and not mine.
Okay. So, and again,
And that's where we leave this portion of the hearing, with a major credibility question still hanging in the air. The father insists he's changed and says the accusations are based on old history, while the mother believes recent events show that the underlying concerns haven't disappeared. The judge now has to decide whether the evidence demonstrates a genuine change in circumstances, and most importantly, what arrangement serves the children's best interests. This is also a reminder that family court isn't simply about which parent tells the more convincing story. Documentation, corroborating evidence, consistency, and the children's welfare can all matter. So what would you decide if you were sitting in that judge's chair? Would you keep the existing parenting schedule, or would you make changes based on what you've heard?